Dozens of political prisoners, including American journalist Evan Gershkovich, have been freed from Russia in what could be the largest prisoner swap since the end of the Cold War. Our North America correspondent Barbara Miller joins us now from Washington. Barbara, g'day. Just tell us about this historic deal.
Yeah, really a massive prisoner swap. 16 people coming out of Russia, including several Americans. That journalist from the Wall Street Journal, Evan Gershkovich. Also, Paul Whelan, a former U.S. Marine. He's been held in Russia for almost 6 years. The swap took place in the Turkish capital, Ankara. It involved 8 Russians being returned to Russia as part of that deal. They were held in various countries, including Germany. So a real multinational complex negotiation leading to this deal. An earlier version of this deal, James, involved discussions around the potential release of the Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny. He then died earlier this year in Russian detention. The Germans, it's understood, were particularly keen to be part of trying to secure Navalny's release. Several associates of Navalny were among the 16 people who were released. And Germany's had to give up in return a convicted assassin, Vadim Krasikov. He shot dead a former Chechen separatist in a Berlin park and was serving a life sentence in Germany. So really, really complex negotiations clearly gone into this. President Joe Biden called the deal a feat of diplomacy.
This deal would not have been made possible without our allies. Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Norway, and Turkey, they all stepped up and they stood with us. They stood with us. And they made bold and brave decisions, released prisoners being held in their countries who were justifiably being held, and provided logistical support to get the Americans home. So for anyone who questions whether allies matter, they do.
I think Joe Biden there making a very political point against the man who until a couple of weeks ago was going to be his opponent in this November's election. Donald Trump, of course, as we know, has said that he'd tell Vladimir Putin he could do whatever the hell he wanted to any U.S. allies who didn't pay their NATO dues. So Joe Biden using this opportunity to have a sort of feel-good moment. When he made those comments, he was flanked by members of some of the hostages' families and also to score just a little bit of political pointing there against Donald Trump, I think.
And Barb, what's been the reaction to this news in the U.S. so far?
Well, of course, the workplace sees the Wall Street Journal and the families of these people overjoyed at this news. We saw the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, unusually emotional as he talked about it. He really teared up talking to White House reporters about the deal earlier. Jake Sullivan also being asked, though, doesn't a deal like this sort of pave the way for Russia to, in the U.S. eyes, unjustly imprison more people so that they can reach these deals? Jake Sullivan saying that the U.S. has weighed up that risk and has decided that it's worth it. But Donald Trump weighing in as well. Donald Trump saying, you know, this looks like a terrible deal and our negotiators are terrible, and suggesting that he wouldn't make the kind of concessions that the U.S. has made in terms of the Russians released were he in charge. That contradicted a little by the family of Paul Whelan, the former U.S. Marine who's on his way back to the U.S. They said that the first years of his time in detention in Russia were hard when the Trump administration ignored his wrongful detention. So a lot of politics as we move close to the election involved in what, of course, for the families of these people is a hugely joyous moment. And the 3 American citizens, there's also an American green card holder, one of the 16, but the 3 American citizens on their way back to the U.S. now, and we're told that they will be met by President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris when they touch down.